Insurance isn't one size fits all, and shopping for it shouldn't feel like squeezing into something that just doesn't fit. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they show you options that fit your budget. Enough hunting for discounts, trying to calculate rates, and tinkering with coverages. Maybe you're picking out your very first policy, or maybe you're just looking for something that works better for you and your family. Either way, they make it simple to see your options. No guesswork, no surprises. Ready to see how easy and fun shopping for car insurance can be? Visit Progressive.com and give the Name Your Price tool a try. Take the stress out of shopping and find coverage that fits your life, on your terms. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a real-life medium? Then this is the podcast for you. In this show, you'll learn how to open your heart to spirit, hear adventures I've experienced as an award-winning psychic medium and teacher. Plus, I'm going to give you some psychic information and insight into what the future holds for our increasingly crazy world. Tune in every Friday and get ready to connect to the other side. I'm Jen, and I'll be your guide starting right now. Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Okay, this is going to be good. I've been on hiatus for a little bit, which I'm sure you may or may not have noticed. I have been to Florida. I've had Christmas break. I am excited to get back to work here, and I've got a really exciting episode for you. We're going to talk about aliens, which is one of my favorite topics, and I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for sticking with me and coming back to the podcast, and I really hope you enjoy this episode. Now, I would say this is like maybe the second time I did a little bit quick research, aka go on Google, on the internet, of what I'm about to talk to you about, because it has a bigger picture theme to it that I want to sort of start with this alien conversation, and then I want to go beyond that and sort of apply it to you somehow, if that makes sense. No, I'm not saying you're an alien. My daughter says, oh, there's an alien on your head, ha ha ha, because she doesn't believe any of this stuff. So I guess it would depend on what you believe in. And, you know, it's all whatever you believe in. I mean, there's obviously going to be some truth to it eventually, but that's what I want to talk about. Is this true or is this made up? Okay, like, is this kind of a test? What I'm going to talk about to be like seeing who is actually awake and who is still sleeping and easily heavily programmed, you know, with the conspiracy theories, and which I don't believe is true at all. I don't believe those. I'm saying obviously conspiracy theory is something, but I feel like it's actually truth. And I've talked about this on a past episode where I believe that anything conspiracy theory or that's deemed or nicknamed conspiracy theory is actually psychic information or true. So yeah, I'm one of those people. And if you don't agree with that, you're probably not a listener. You're probably not even listening to me anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and speak what I know to be true and then put it in a teaching format, if that makes sense, because that is what I'm here to do, apparently. Before I get into this alien discussion here, and I'm specifically talking about not just the Miami, which, dude, I was like near Miami, sort of not near, I guess I was maybe a couple hours from Miami. I can't remember if I was actually there when this went down, but it's pretty close to where I just was, which is super cool, and I'm sorry I missed it. Okay, so, but I want to talk about this first. So, on the holidays, I got really into astrology. So, I started learning about it, aka Google classes, doing my own kind of research, going on astro.com. All of a sudden, this big wave of astrology interest sort of washed over me, and that's how I roll when something washes over me, the big whoosh, as I call it, or the zoop, as you heard me talk about. That's when I start doing things. So I got super into astrology, like for about 2 weeks, and I was like looking at my chart every day. You can get like super down the rabbit hole
if you're not careful, like if you have like a little bit of an obsessive personality, like with me, like I do, you get really stuck on one thing and you're like obsessed with it. That can obviously be kind of not a great thing, because what I tend to do is go overboard with this. So I was downloading all these apps. So I don't know what they're called. I have like one app left. I had like 4. And after a week of so of me checking these apps every day and seeing what was happening in my astrology chart, my birth chart, and the planets and all these kind of things, and trying to figure out what this symbol meant and this symbol meant, I was getting like too confused, because I started to notice that all the apps were different. So this app would say, this is what your energy is today. And then another app would say kind of like that, but they started to be not cohesive and in synchronicity with themselves. So I was like, And then the good thing is I'm aware when I start to get a little obsessive of something. So I'm like, maybe we should delete some of these. And I get my wits about me again. My wits come back. And so I got off them. So I have one, which I don't. Anyways, long story short, I was really into it, checking my energy, what was happening. And the one birth chart on astro.com was very, very, very accurate. I was like, oh my God, like I probably should have checked it like the night after or like the day after what was happening the day before, to like I've noticed synchronicities with astrology before when I was not checking my birth chart, and I'd be like, oh my God, I decided to travel on this day, and it just happened to be that's really good in the chart for traveling, and I follow my intuition, right? But this is starting to get really down the rabbit hole, and kind of like too much of a good thing, right? Learning is a positive thing. Taking classes is a positive thing, but you've got to be aware of your like qualities that sort of need work. And when you're aware of them, you're able to change them. And also what I was noticing, what this was helping me when I was sort of obsessing over my chart, and this is what's going to happen today. And then I started going, oh my God, I got to live my life this way because this is what the chart says. And you can get too caught up in this. So it's really important that you sort of have a lot of awareness within you, and not just like something like I'm talking about this with the birth chart and what's happening in your planets. You have to live your life, right? So you have to really live your life. And that once you do that, your awareness starts to grow. And also what this taught me, my obsessive 2 weeks of astrology checking out this, is that I was able to, that's what I wanted to talk to you about too. There's so many things I want to talk to you. I want to catch up with you guys. I feel like we're having a conversation, a one-sided conversation, and you can answer me right now if you want to. No one's going to hear if you're driving in the car like, yeah, Jen, I hear you, girl. You go, girl, and tell me some stories, because I have some stories. But this can get like, so I got this awareness of like, okay, this is not working for me, right? You ever have a moment like, okay, this is making me feel yuckier, and this is not working for me, and your awareness grows, right? Your self-awareness grows. And so I'm like, I can't do this. And I thought, you know what? I really need to get control, because it was funny because there was some like, I don't know if it was Neptune and a Pluto. I don't know what was going on. But in one of my astro.com synopsis for the day was like, this is a really good day for you to get control of your thoughts. It's going to be easier for you to control your mind and really focus. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to use this. And I realized that day, because a good thing that came out of this was that I would know that I knew before, but I wasn't very good at it, is that I could control my thoughts. So every time, on these couple of days when I was away, I was like, I'm going to choose a different thought. And I was able to actually get my mind, I don't know if it was the planets or me, but I was able to literally stop my mind from thinking. Isn't that like, wouldn't that be such a gift if you could like have a breather from like your thoughts for like 2 seconds or longer? Wouldn't that like, if you're like sitting there in silence, which a lot of people don't like to do because they don't want to be thinking about their thoughts all day long, it drives them crazy, right? Can you imagine like silence in your mind? Which I usually can get this from meditation, but this was like me. So it wasn't the meditation that was getting me into the zone. It was me getting into the zone of controlling my mind and say, you know what? I don't want to think anything. I was like, oh my God, there's no sound in there. I can think what I want. I can tell myself, and you've heard me talk about this before, is that, I don't know if you know this, but this was the hugest awakening moment for me on my spiritual journey so far, was you are not your mind. Like when someone told me that, I was like, what? Excuse me? Like when I saw that, it was like one of those things that just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, who made up that ton of bricks? Who wants to be hit with a ton of bricks? Not me. That would hurt. But you can tell your mind what to think. So they're kind of separate, right? So you are you and your mind is separate from you. So what we do as humans is we allow our brain, and I'm getting to a point here, we allow our brain to be programmed, right? Outside things in the environment, in the world, in our personal life, sort of, and we're kids, our brain gets programmed. So our brain is kind of like a computer. So we are separate from this computer where we utilize it as a tool, obviously, because we didn't have a brain. But we can tell the computer, like just what you can do on your MacBook, you can tell your computer what to do by having control of the computer, right? So an example would be, I'm standing here, Jen, I'm standing here in my closet. It's very messy, by the way. I need to clean it. But I'm talking to you guys right now, so that can wait because this is more important. And my computer is like a foot in front of me on the table here in the corner of my messy closet. So I am separate from my computer, and I'm pushing buttons, and I'm pushing the record button, and I'm seeing the purple lines and the red lines, and I'm just observing the purple and the red lines that have the little vibration marks in them to tell me that I'm recording something, and my voice is creating a vibration. See that? So I'm not obsessed with this purple line and this red line here. I'm just talking, right? So when I realized that you can tell your mind what to think, that was the biggest thing for me so far in all the teachings that I've learned or studied or Googled or done research on YouTube, whatever, books I've read. This was the biggest piece of information for me that really nailed it home for me. And so going back to the astrology, I was like, okay, I don't want to think these thoughts anymore that make me feel yucky. So there was like a day or two where I literally, you know how you get worried about money sometimes? So obviously traveling, so this is when we were in Florida. When you're traveling, unless you have millions of dollars and you don't give a shit, when you're traveling, for me, sometimes I always worry about money. I'm like, oh my God, do you know how much money I just spent? Like, I don't say that to my kids, but I'm like, in my head, I was like, again, obsessive thoughts. Holy crap, how much money have I spent so far? You're worried about, I'm like paying it back. It's on my credit card, all these things, this human programming that we have of scarcity and fear and whatever. And I thought, you know what? I don't want to think that anymore. So it's like a switch went off in my brain, or I turned a switch off in my brain, or on, I guess, to be like, we're not going to think this anymore. So imagine the power you wield or yield when you understand that you can tell your thoughts what to think. And you are in control. You've been in control this whole time of what you think and what you believe. You've been in control this whole time. So this is leading up to, oops, sorry, I hit the table. This is leading up to the alien things I want to talk about. Because now that you know you can control your thoughts, yes, you can. It is difficult to do sometimes, but sometimes I always say sometimes it's just a decision. Like anything, like people are like, oh, I don't know what to do about this, or I don't know how to get over this thing, or forgive somebody. And sometimes, in my experience, and the most powerful transformations or shifts in my life have been when I have decided something with gusto and just like with a lot of power behind it. I was like, I am deciding this to forgive that person. I just decided. People are like, how do you forgive so-and-so for cheating on me? Or how do you forgive this person for what they did to me? Sometimes it takes a long time, and sometimes it's just a decision. So we as humans obviously like to make things a lot more complicated than they need to be. But as you have a spiritual journey and you're working on your spiritual gifts and you're helping people and you're knowing yourself and you're getting deep inside your soul and you're listening to your soul more often, I feel like it's all connected. But you get to a point where you're like, I don't have to think these thoughts anymore, and I'm going to decide that I'm not going to think this anymore. How much power is in that, right? So that was my shift in my mind. It kind of wavers sometimes, though. You're like I was really good for like 48 hours of like, nope. And anytime a thought would pop in my head about like negative or about money or worry, I would just plop, stop. It's like it would hit like a tennis net. So imagine playing tennis, right? And these are your thoughts going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And all of a sudden you're on the other side and you're like, psh, boom, doesn't go over the net. So you make it like hit the net so it doesn't go over to your side. You have to hit it back. So this constant back and forth in your mind is exhausting, as you know, if you're really aware of what you're thinking right now. And being aware, this is a very important part of spirituality, of your spiritual journey, which I didn't think had anything to do with it. But knowing your power and knowing your awareness of who you are and what you can do and what you can't do. And, you know, I've worked on this thought for and I don't know about you, but like I've been working on my mindset for 7-8 years. And it's like, I always repeat to myself, there's nothing I cannot be or do or have. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, right? So as you guys know, if you have a thought, it doesn't mean you believe it, but you have to repeat it over and over so it becomes a habit before it becomes a thought form, before it becomes part of you. So I say that all the time. There's nothing I cannot be or do or have. And another one I always say is everything always works out for me, right? According to my highest good. Those are the things that I believe now. And, you know, you have little tests where you see things like your power, right? So, you know, getting control of your mind. What did I do? Okay, here's a cool story about power of your mind. Okay, I was like, what am I going to talk about? And this just popped in my head. So while we were in Florida, the weather was nice for like 5 days and then 2 days was crappy when we were leaving. It's fine. Beautiful sunshine. I need vitamin D. So we're at the pool. My kids we're all sitting around. I think this is the first day we got there. So we got to the first little hotel resort kind of thing at like midnight. We had a late flight and didn't get our bags for a bit, and it was a whole thing with the car rental, and I'm like, I'm not getting on a fucking shuttle at midnight to go get a car. So I got another car, and I was like making decisions like this, and then we got there and we checked in. It was super late, so then we slept in the next morning, and then we just wanted to have a lazy day. And so we're, you know, sitting in the sun. I'm like, oh my God, this is so awesome. Like, it wasn't super hot, but it was so nice just to be sitting in the sun. Like, oh my gosh, I can't describe it. There was no ocean. We were in Orlando and sitting at the pool. And so my girls were like, we really want to go in the hot tub, but they don't like to go in there when there's anyone else in there. Now, if you've ever been to like a hotel or whatever, you know that other people go in the hot tub and they're allowed to do that. So going back to my daughter who doesn't believe in aliens or pretty much anything that I do, she thinks it's a load of crap. I said to her, okay, do you want me to get people out of the hot tub, like with my manifesting or whatever? She goes, sure. I'm like, okay, but if I do this, you're going to believe me that I can do this, right? She's like, sure, I'll believe you. And I'm like, okay. So I sit there and it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like, I've had these little incidences or things of evidence where whatever I think of on purpose, like intention, happens. Like little, you got to test the waters, like little tiny things, not the big things. You got to test it small first, okay? So I've done this in the past before with lights flickering or turning TVs off at the nail salon, turning the music down with my mind, like getting someone to do something with your mind, like not in a controlling way, but like if it's, anyways. So I said to her, okay, I'm going to do this. So I just went, okay. Had a thought, very strong thought, not forcing anything. And I'm like, okay. And when you do this, you have to sort of indicate time-wise. So I said within 5 minutes, people are going to leave the hot tub. Because there was like a mom and a kid in there for like, she goes, that mom and kid's been there for 4 hours. I've been watching them. I'm like, well, that's a long time to be in a hot tub. And there was other people in there besides the mom and the son. So I'm not kidding you, not even 5 minutes later, the mom gets out with her kid. And I'm like, did you see that? I'm like, the mom and the kid just got out. She's like, yeah, but there's still people in there. I'm like, okay, you didn't say you wanted everybody out of the hot tub. So I'm okay. If I do this, you're going to believe me, right? Yep, I'm going to believe you. I said, okay, I'm going to get everyone out of the hot tub for you with just using my manifesting mind. She's like, okay, go for it. So I did it again. And I said, me being specific, right? You have to be specific. And I'm like, okay, everybody out of the hot tub. 2 minutes later, if that, I look over. Everyone who was in the hot tub gets out of the hot tub. And she looks at me, I look at her, and my mouth just drops, and she's like, I'm going in the hot tub. Like, didn't say it. I'm like, okay, do you believe me?
The Fall Line is a true crime podcast covering the coldest cases in the southeastern United States and occasionally beyond. We focus on the missing persons, the unsolved murders, and the unidentified does that don't get media attention. Empathetic and intensively researched, The Fall Line will take you on deep dives into unsolved cases that you've never heard of and make you wonder why you haven't. Find us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Nope. I'm like, oh my God, what do I have to do to get you to believe me? So I walk back, and I don't want to offend anyone by saying this, and anyways, I walked back and I sat down in the chair and I'm like, I'm a fucking witch. Like, I just was like, it came out of my mouth so fast. I'm like, I'm a witch. Like, I'm a witch. How do you do? I'm not really, I don't practice witchcraft. I'm like, how? Because I have learned from what I know is that witch means powerful fucking woman. Okay. So I don't want to offend anybody. So I'm like, that was powerful what I did. It wasn't like I changed the world or I ended world hunger. I did a small thing to exert my power to, have something that I would like for my kids. And it might sound silly to be like a hot tub, like, oh my God, you get people out of the hot tub. What's the big deal? Like, this was evidence. There was so much evidence in these two little things. And I remember like, oh yeah, I got to be specific. I need everybody out the hot tub. Because the first time I intended for the mother and the kid to get out. Anyways, they had a lovely hot tub time, just the two of them. I didn't go in till I think nighttime because it was actually kind of cold. But that's one of the things is like mind power, right? And then the belief, if you don't have a belief that you could do that, even try it out with intention. Like intention can override a belief is what I firmly believe in. I have evidence of that as well. So since my kid is always like, there's an alien on your head and doesn't believe in aliens and whatever, I heard about this story about the Miami Mall alien. So I don't know if you've heard of this, but basically what happened close to the time that I was actually near Miami is that there was some teenagers or ruffians. So they were fighting at the mall and this big fight broke out or whatever and whatever. And I don't know the whole story, but from what I've seen and what I've heard is that there was like a huge, maybe like there was like a threat or something. I don't know. But if you watch the videos, there's like 50 cops or more blocking off the road, and people are saying there was videos at the time this was going down that there was a big gray alien or some kind of thing they saw coming through a quote unquote portal at the mall. So of course there's all these memes where people are saying that there's a mall, there's a picture of like a alien shopping with shopping bags and things like this. But if you think about it, this is where this is what I'm talking with your mind. You have to know, is there a program involved here from mass media programming? Or is this something that's actual? Is this actually happening? Okay, so a big part of psychic development work and your mediumship work is discernment. That's something you need to learn. Not only in your spiritual development and your gifts, you have to learn discernment in your life, right? This is where you're talking about you are not your mind and you tell your mind what to think. You don't get easily programmed by these images, which is what a lot of people do, right? So this happened, and when you watch the videos, you're kind of like, huh, like, that I call it like that weird feeling, like, huh. So you're either like, that's a load of crap. I feel like this is a black and white situation here. That's a load of crap. That's just made up. Where's the proof? Yada, yada, yada. Or, which I had a client like that today. I was like, this is weird that I have a client who's like that, like didn't believe some of the things that I said, which is fine. Like, it's cool. I'm like, oh my God, sometimes I forget people don't really believe everything I tell them or anything, like some kind of spiritual experience that I've had. They don't believe me. I was like, oh, wait, not everybody believes what I do. And then so that happened. And then I saw after that what happened was that there was something in Brazil as well. It was spotted like a few days after. Now, do I believe aliens exist? 100% yes, I do believe them. I don't need proof at all. I have experience with aliens. You've heard me, you probably see my, what do I call it? The blue beings YouTube video where I talked about this before, where these blue beings in 2020 came to me in like the beginning of March before everything went down and made me sick and vomit because the energy was so intense of this alien being or whatever this being was, and told me everything that was going to happen. And I wrote it down, put it in a blog, and people are like, oh my God, I'm not your friend anymore because you are saying New World Order and you're telling me that gas is going to be $2 later. And I'm like, this is what I was told by the aliens. I went on YouTube and I'm like, dude, this is what the aliens told me, and I put it all out there. You can watch it. It's on my YouTube channel. I think it's on the Singing Medium YouTube channel. You can go watch that. It's my most watched video, which isn't that much, but there's a lot of views on that one. So I predicted, the aliens told me everything that was going to happen. So 100%, I have a lot of alien encounter stories that I probably have not shared with you before. You're like, ooh, I want to hear those. Number 2 is that I have very, very strong discernment. Number 3, I'm not programmed anymore by outside forces. So like the government tells me something. Obviously, that's a whole thing with the, what that happened. And I was like, this is crap. Like, I'm saying there was a virus, 100% yes, and people got very sick and died, and it was horrible. But when they said a conspiracy theory and it was all made up, like I knew there was something wrong. Let me say there was something off. I knew something was wrong. It wasn't what they said it was, and now we find out it was. So aliens, for sure, I believe exist. Okay? These two videos, everything is a feeling. So we're used to like everything is a thought. I think that most things have to be a feeling when you're learning this work. So psychic is about feelings, not thinking, right? So I can tell when one of my students is like not psychic into the psychic energy because their eyebrows are down to their face and down their chin, and they're like, and I'm like, you're thinking, you're not being psychic right now. Psychic is a feeling. So whether you think you're psychic or not, you all have intuition, every single one of you who's listening to me right now, right? So when you tune into that frequency of that feeling, you watch a video like these and you have a feeling attached to it, right? I don't mean a thought, I mean a feeling. Like sometimes it's like your gut feels weird, or it feels like a subtle punch in your gut, or you feel like that you feel kind of weird, like you feel sick to your stomach, or your shoulders are tense, and there's a physical reaction to watching these videos. Now, if you go one step deeper, what is the feeling on the inside of you when you watch something like this? For me, mine's very strong because I use it every day. Some people who don't use this discernment every single day because they don't do readings every day all day long, maybe would not have that same discernment level that I've had and would believe these videos, right? Be like, oh my God. So I want to, and you may have heard this as well, is there is a conspiracy theory originated in 1990s called Project Bluebeam. So this is so funny because Chad went to get his hair cut, and he goes back to Orangeville like an hour and a half to go get his hair cut because his favorite guy cuts his hair. He calls me on the phone after his haircut, and he's like, did you hear about the aliens? And I'm like, I just woke up from my nap, and I'm like, huh? Yes, honey, I've heard about the aliens. Did you hear about the Miami aliens at the mall? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, there's that video. And he's like, did you know about this? And I'm like, yes, honey, I know about this. He's like, explain this to me. I need to understand this. And I'm like, in my sleepy stupor, I'm like, it's called Project Bluebeam, and the government is like bringing it in to create a panic in society and create the Antichrist, and it's all projections in the sky. It's not actually real aliens, and they're doing it to bring in the new or older. He's like, what? It's like, sorry that I asked. So let me explain it in my normal voice. So Project Bluebeam is a conspiracy theory that originated in the 90s. So according to this theory, the United States government with NASA, that's another thing I want to talk about quickly before I finish reading this. NASA has a horrible feeling to it. So I saw so many people at Disney World. We went to Universal. At Universal wearing NASA shirts, and every time I looked at these fucking t-shirts, I was like, I'm gonna puke. Like, there's something so wrong about this NASA stuff. I don't know what they're doing. It's not a good thing. It's not a good feeling. I feel gross. I feel sick to my stomach. It's like a twinge every time I see someone wearing it. There's a lot of people wearing a NASA. And you could buy NASA t-shirts at Universal. What's up with that? And, oh my God, I forgot to tell you, when you go into Universal now, and this didn't happen the first time I went there last year with my best friend, but this time they have biometrics machines or compute. Oh my God, I felt so, I'm like, this is so freaky and scaring the crap out of me. You go up there and when you go into the turnstile to go into the park, there's a biometrics, and at the airport had it yesterday as well too. You stand in front of this fucking iPad that is vertical, and you look at it and it reads your facial ID, facial recognition, and it knows who you are. It says, hello, Jennifer Abra, and it has a click and a green check mark on it. I was like, how the hell does this machine know who I am? My arm hair is sitting, and they had at the airport as well when we came home yesterday. How does this computer know who I am? It knows my name. Yesterday at the airport, it says that's how they don't check your passport anymore they don't scan your boarding pass anymore. When you go on in the gate, when you go onto the airplane, they don't scan it anymore. It's a biometric system, and you stand in front of these plastic gates, and you have to get your face scanned, and it says, Jennifer Abra, have a good flight. How the fuck does it know it's me? Some scary stuff, you guys. Okay, so the NASA and the government are planning a massive false flag operation where they would simulate a second coming of Christ or an extraterrestrial invasion using advanced technology in order to establish a new world order. This is what this guy, okay, I can't think of the guy's name. Okay, so here are the 4 stages. Here are the 4 stages involved in Project Bluebeam. The first stage is going to use technology, which I have done posts about before, which I backed off a little bit. I don't know why. Technology like, what did I post? Was doing a lot of reels about it. Technology to make earthquakes happen. Natural disasters can come from machines that the government has built. Military things can alter the weather. I'm not getting into that right now because that's way too long of a podcast episode to keep going. But they use technology to create earthquakes, UFO sightings, natural disasters to make people believe that a great cataclysmic event is coming, which they are doing. I think we're in stage 1 right now. Okay, so pay attention. Again, it's a feeling, right? It's a feeling. When you see an earthquake on TV, I think Japan just had a whole fucking bunch of earthquakes, did they not? There's like one feeling that you would have in your physiology inside of you of like, oh my God, there's an earthquake. That's horrible. That is a natural disaster. There's another feeling that comes if you're using your intuition and your awareness. That is messed up. That does not feel like an actual natural. There's a feeling. If you tap into Mother Nature with your feet, you get to know her real well. And if you go to the lake and you stand outside in nature and you stand by the lake and you connect to the lake, you will know when there's something that is nature is doing it and when it's not nature. So the Hawaii disaster, that was government. That was not a natural disaster. I don't care. Stage number 2 involves a fake alien invasion in which holographic images of spacecraft will be projected in the sky. So they might be into this one because I think I saw another video where they're showing the spaceships, fake spaceships in the sky. I think I've already seen it. This is intended to create a sense of panic and confusion among the population. Every video I've watched so far of the alien things, people are laughing. They're like, man. One video they were like talking in Spanish. I don't know what they were saying, but they were laughing. The Brazil one, they were laughing. The third stage involves the use of technology to create a fake religious event, such as the appearance of a messiah or prophet using holograms or special effects. So we're not in that one, but that's coming. The fourth and the final stage involves the implementation of a new world order in which the world government will be replaced by a single authoritarian regime. Okay? This website, wherever I am, I don't know where I'm looking at, Quora. It's probably not a very good one, but I wanted to get the gist of what it was. Obviously, there's no evidence. Yes, there is. Hello. Use your discernment. Use your awareness. Do those aliens that you saw in those videos feel like they're real? Do they feel natural? Do they feel like it's actually happening? Or does it feel yucky? Does it feel heavy? Does it feel punch in the gut? You got to pay attention to these feelings and what is the difference between the two. And that's why I always tell people, if you're going to work on your spiritual gifts, you start psychic. You take a psychic development class first, and then you go up to mediumship if that's what you want to do. Psychic development teaches you discernment through repetition and practice and doing readings and falling on your face and getting things wrong and getting things right. And right, this is how you build up that power in your mind. Okay. So that's what Project Bluebeam is. And with my psychic ability, my knowingness, so claircognizance, I just know it's not real. So going back to the beginning where I said I 100% believe in real aliens, in natural aliens and natural occurring beings in our universe and multiverses and different planets, and I believe in all of this and planetary things and the timing of things and, other realms that are out there. But this is not that. This has a completely different, opposite, polarized feeling from it. Other end. Like if the real aliens are North Pole, this is South Pole. And yes, they are connected, but you got to know like this is a program. And so once you get control of your mind, you know the discernment between Is this real? Is this logical? Or you could still be like, well, I don't understand it, dude, so I think it's full of shit. Which is why dudes say to me all the time, hey, Jen, are you still scamming people for money? You're full of shit, right? This is what I'm talking about. They don't understand what I do, and they don't understand their intuition that they also have these gifts in them. And the awareness is just being plugged or covered with the blanket from outside factors and environments and things being shown to you repetitively through television. And that's how sometimes people build their beliefs, is from outside programming, which, as we all know, TV shows are called programs for a reason. Commercials, predictive programming. What the hell was that movie I watched on Netflix that my students kept telling me to watch, where the Teslas move by themselves and like all the internet goes out and the high pitched frequency that they're putting out there, the government's putting out there, and the kids' teeth fall out. Oh my God. Like, so you have to use discernment, like, but you got to also know how to remove fear from it. And yes, it is natural for us to be fearful sometimes, but when I see these videos, I am not afraid at all. I am not afraid. Yes, I believe there are aliens who are not good, but these to me have a feeling of holograms or made up make-believe. That's the feeling that they have to me. Okay, you will have your own opinions. Obviously, you're going to have your own opinions about this, right? But that's what I mean. This is all connected. And so use these things, use these experiences that happen that you're seeing in these images, use them to be like, just pause for a second. Your first reaction is going to be, oh my God, did you see the aliens? Like Chad, right? Did you hear about the aliens at the mall? Who knows? Maybe it was a real alien. But when you see the images also of the 50,000 cop cars that are blocking it, that has a weird feeling to it. Like, why would they be there for this if they knew what was actually going on? Do you know what I mean? See what I mean? Okay. So I'm going to pause there. To be continued. We're going to talk about this some more in future episodes. But we're going to ease back into it because we just came back to work today. Today's my first day back at work. I did 2 readings. I was supposed to have 3. There was a mix-up. I had 3 readings this morning. I'm back at it. I'm going to be working every Saturday at Moonflower's store in person doing readings in Beaverton, Ontario. That is very exciting. But I will see you guys all next time on the Singing Medium podcast. And thank you so much for always look into the sky, and maybe you're going to see an alien. Who knows? But use your discernment. Is it a hologram or is it a real alien?